Hello, and welcome back to another video. This is Donnie Lee here with the Reality Realization Institute, and I can't wait for you to learn more. Now, today we'll be working on the how to use every experience for manifestation instructional sheet and related activities. This is a new research study that was conducted from the paradoxical shifting instructional worksheet of the Intensive Realization Program. Now, the Intensive Realization Program is our more advanced program for those who want to go very fast in their manifestation journey. And if that sounds like you, all you need to do is click the link in the bio, click on schedule a call, or click the link in bio and self-enroll into our beginner course if you want to learn more and you want to start your journey today. Nonetheless, let's get right into the instructional sheet. See, if you watched the previous video, you should understand how to manifest. Now, the key to manifestation in this context is what do you do during the times, during the experiences where everything isn't on your control, isn't under your own awareness of, I'm making sure everything is happening the way I want to. This is what we can call the order and the chaos of reality. It is this ebb, this flow of these two different energies that is the main factor that makes up reality in each and every moment-to-moment basis, where the sole difference between the two is in their outcome coefficients. This is where one can either see more stability or instability being bred in their surroundings. However, the key is that the most interesting aspect of this, and more or less the journey you're on, is that there's a little bit more to the order and chaos than just order and chaos, because these don't actually mean that they're directly known as good and bad. Order isn't just good, and chaos isn't just bad. This is the important part and where most tend to find themselves getting stuck early on. See, the difference between order and chaos with good and bad lies solely in the continual order outcomes and initial intents, because these are the determinant factors for understanding how the situation can be utilized for better or for worse. So, for example, say you've been out on a night of time, and all of a sudden you hear a large explosion in the distance. Boom! It's just crazy. It could be a firework, you hear extra explosions, or it could be an actual explosion, actual bomb, and maybe there's just multiple bombs going off. You can't tell at all. So you're unable to determine if this was a framework or another type of event. In relation to order and chaos, you can now see that in the chaos, this can either be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. And if all is well, then this will turn out to be an amazingly chaotic time, giving you yet another way to make the most of your night. However, if all is not well, then although you might not be affected, just being in the radius will cause you some residual effects, even trying to get home safely, depending on what has actually occurred. As such, the key to order and chaos isn't necessarily in the actual experience itself, but rather in how you habituate your reactions to make the absolute most of the situation, regardless of what might actually be occurring, to ensure the best outcome for you and everyone involved connected to you. And this is what we call a peerless reaction. So before diving too deep into trying to understand the essence of order and chaos while trying to use your techniques to feel into the natural flow that you already have learned from our previous video, what you're going to want to understand a little bit more is these peerless reactions, how they work, and how you can use them to your benefit in these order or chaos-based experiences to actually have reality flow in the way that you want it to. So it's a tad bit easier to simply start by teaching yourself to react in certain ways habitually, so that regardless of if you understand what's going on, you can always operate in the most appropriate way possible. So you will want to start this practice by first learning what a peerless reaction is. And this depends on the situation at hand and the emotional context being generated for you to react to. For example, if something positive has just happened, your first reaction will likely be to positively react. You'll interpret this experience as something good. Perhaps you'll smile. Perhaps maybe if it involves you or someone else, you'll give them a hug. You'll jump for joy. You'll yell out loud in celebration. One can't fully tell, but in a marginally good situation, you're likely going to have an aggressive positive reaction if you're an outgoing person, the jumping for joy, for example. Or you might simply be smiling mildly if you hold yourself to be rather reserved and introverted. So these are what we would call the normal responses, and in all circumstances, these are more or less fine. However, in this situation, because we're manifestors, because we are creators of our reality, what we want in these situations aren't just normal responses that are fine, but rather what we want are the peerless reactions that we can use to fundamentally shift our entire realities and create the lives of our dreams. It's not going to require too much more, but the subtle shift that is provided due to it will truly make all the difference due to the nature of the reality that we live in today, due to the nature of how manifestation, how reality creation, how having your dreams and desires manifest for you, how it works in the here and now. So here are the steps of peerless reaction. How are you going to build that expression for yourself? See, the key to a peerless reaction in a positive situation is not necessarily the intensity of the reaction or even how good the feeling that generated was during the experience. Rather, the peerless reaction is directly correlated to the degree of present moment awareness you have at that exact moment in time, whether something's triggered you to respond out of your normal baseline routine. The degree of present moment awareness you have comes down solely to how often you've practiced becoming aware in your day-to-day life and gaining a sense of self-awareness over who you are in that moment and what role you have to play in the situation at hand, if any. Thus, lastly, you can assume greater amounts of agency over the situation by simply being aware that you're in the situation and can affect it. You can shift your initial emotional response to that which resonates most by using rhetorical questions like, why and how did I know exactly what to do in this situation? Or, why and how am I already doing everything I need to do to best handle the situation? And of course, if you are unfamiliar with rhetorical questions, the entire past video was about the methodology known as active shifting. Go watch that last video and you'll be right and ready to best use this particular aspect of the peerless reactions. Now, these, of course, are the basic trainings you'll want to habituate in your day-to-day life. So that's your subconscious reaction in any situation beyond the norm to assume that you already know what to do and thus can embrace the situation to the fullest, whether it's good, bad, chaotic, or orderly. And if you want to try some out the more advanced strategies, as I told you at the very beginning of the video, click the link below right now. Or if you're reading through this worksheet, just click the Enroll in the How to Manifest course button right there. It's also linked in the bio. And you can go directly to a video that explains how you can get started with some of our more self-paced and advanced techniques right now. Anyways, you're going to want to be habituating peerless reactions if you want to start with this as your advanced technique. So, of course, as you read above, you'll notice that the peerless reactions are considered more the outcome or the second order effect of effectively developing the habit of peerless reactions, which is whether you experience an event that can be seen as wanted or unwanted. Regardless, these experiences are in your favor. And with this, the instructional sheet is going to also contain the two methods that make up the best ways to habituate for these opposing sides of duality. And by using them from the state of present moment awareness, which you were taught just now, they will allow you to experience the paradox that allows for everything you experience to be to your advantage, just as the name of this instructional sheet is. Now, we're going to begin with the so without method, one of the two methods. See, whenever an unwanted event happens, for example, I just clicked a button and it popped up the wrong thing. I could have freaked out, but now I have this advantage. And now I can use this as a perfect example of how and when an unwanted or negative thought occurs or an unwanted or negative event happens, you can use it as a trigger to wake up and enter the present moment awareness. Boom, I am now aware within this present moment. I'm even more conscious that I'm making this perfect video for you all to understand how this basically gift that you've given yourself by learning this technique, how it works, how you can use it at every single given moment to create your greater reality by using this right now. And I'll explain it to you right now. So once aware that the situation that has triggered you to a point of becoming more aware has occurred and that you have some effect, you can now ask yourself, what could the benefit in this be? I've just asked myself, and the benefit is that I'm now more aware of how I can make this video even better for you. That's a perfect benefit. Benefit for me, a benefit for you. Now you can also ask yourself, how could this be a good thing if you didn't notice at first? How could this be to my advantage? How could this be something that changes everything even better? Now for you, you can have a right present example of something super simple, super trivial, but an exact, excellent way of showing how anything can be a trigger, giving you the creative aspect and the understanding of how you can put it into your own day-to-day life without having to wait for an event to happen. You can even formulate this to be something routine. You can write on sticky notes for certain things to occur so that you can make sure that you're always triggered in the ways that you want to be triggered so that you have agency and control over being able to develop this habit itself. And once you figured out the answer that comes to you, then perfect, accept it and move on. But the next part is even more important, and it's going to add a little bit more to why I didn't necessarily respond directly to when that trigger occurred. Because the absolute key is this: if no answer comes to you, then accept it anyway and know that the answer will present itself as events unfold further. See, this is the unfolding. And as you saw, it was me explaining it, me expressing it, me becoming more aware that allowed me to actually find that true benefit. I knew there would be one because I was triggered, but I didn't necessarily understand what it could be for you all or what it could be truly for me, because I see benefit in terms of how can I give more? How can I be of more aid? I didn't see that benefit until now, where I can see that it's just increasing ever more, how that previous example I just gave you was exactly the thing that I was expecting to occur. But I didn't fully notice it because I was experiencing it. I was expressing it. I was living from present moment awareness, having the habit that I'm just teaching you be proven with itself. So this is similar to looking for an answer immediately. And if none, treating it like the rhetorical questions of the previous techniques are the answer, and then moving on while repeating the questions rhetorically without answering them, like, why do I see so much benefit in this? Or how is it possible for this to be so much to my advantage already? These are not things that I just used just now by saying them, that are going to continue on and bring even more benefits. It's absolutely amazing and absolutely beautiful. So it's this ability to be able to hold this knowingness naturally and effortlessly. This is what comes from the practice of being present and conscious, living from that observer state, that state known as present moment awareness, where you're aware that you're aware, where you know that you have agency over your thoughts, your perceptions, and your actions. And you know that in the situation, regardless of what it is, there is an effect that you can have to move the situation more to what you would desire it to be. And that could be as simple as asking a question of, why do I already see why this is what I want it to be? So this is what you'll find, that the more you're present, the less you'll actually have to take any mental action in order for your thoughts to naturally shift to seeing how everything is to your benefit, even when you can't even think of the benefit yet, as just explained. It's a beautiful strategy. And the more you habituate it, the more it becomes your natural way of life. And that is when the as within method becomes even more powerful. See, it's easy now to understand the so within method. And now with the as, or the so without method, and now with the as within method, you can see that this is the exact opposite trigger as the previous method. What you're going to want to do is whenever something good happens rather than bad, no matter how small, you're not going to want to take it for granted. That's why I keep going back to being like, wow, I just figured out how to give you all such great benefit. This is me applying the as within method right now. This is exaggerating your positive reaction to it and allowing this experience to be an absolute confirmation of how everything is going your way. Perfectly, absolutely. This is it at the peak, and you can make it go beyond the peak because you can over-exaggerate the over-exaggeration, which is the meta technique that I'll just explain in a second. Now, this is how your life is perfectly becoming even more what you want to be, how you are perfectly becoming even more of who you want to be. The exaggeration will be jumping for joy or even doing a dance if that's more your vibe. For me, it was just expressing it very, very consciously and awarely with my present moment awareness. That's enough of the exaggeration for me. But for you, it's your life, your body, your thoughts. Do what makes you understand that this is you applying that method and you building that habit for yourself. Now, do note, as I just said, this is a meta technique, which more or less means this is a technique that can be used on the technique itself. This is what develops super habits. Can be used for even the so without method. So when you notice how the situation can benefit you at that very end, where even if you don't necessarily know what happens, you're using the rhetorical question, and just getting to the point where you use a rhetorical question, have the sense that something can benefit you, that's exactly when you're going to want to use the as within method and celebrate that. Celebrate that you've at least noticed that you can accept something, that there could be a benefit for you. Celebrating the awareness that this bad situation could have a positive element using the as within method is what just directly puts in the energy of positivity onto the experience. Once that energy of positivity is on the experience, it supercharges the rhetorical question to be able to pull in value, which expands its ability for this to be a synergy, a duality mechanic, a feedback loop per se, that allows for the greater expansion for that bad experience to actually directly turn into a good experience. Because remember, We're not just using thought forms, we're not just using beliefs and perspectives. This isn't just positive psychology. This is a science for creating and altering the nature of our physical, tangible reality itself. This is powerful because that makes the so without method, when you see that negative event, be able to change its physical construct to actually turn into a beneficial and actual positive event in your own self-perception of positivity that changes the baseline nature of reality in ways that can be considered impossible sometimes. This is where, as mentioned at the very beginning, that explosion that could be a firework, just by reacting to it in a positive way, even if it has a negative context, has the potential to change that explosion in the baseline reality you're experiencing into something that was positive, into something that was more firework oriented, something celebratory, a chaotic good instead of a chaotic bad. And this is the key core reason why using this technique is basically like a cheat code to reality. Like once you start trying this, once you start applying it in your day-to-day, you're going to be astonished. It's absolutely crazy how it can work. So once again, the ability for this to feel true and be held as true comes from your practice of awareness. Present moment awareness is step one. Once you have that down, everything else is super duper easy, because this is what allows you to not become attached to the outcome once again. And this is what allows the energy of this positive reaction to be coherent. It's what allows it to be able to flow. It's what allows it to stay in resonance to your desired reality, so that when you use that rhetorical question, once you feel that feeling of certainty, when you have that meta technique of the as it then, you can move on. You can allow that energy to flow with you instead of being your core focus of your consciousness. And that is the key to this technique. And that is the key to this instructional sheet. So this is what allows for the stabilization of the speeds of results beyond logical possibilities. This is what allows you to create the life of your dreams in ways that are unimaginable, but exactly what you'd want it to be. That which resonates and reflects the true of reality realization to you. And lastly, once again, if you do want to try out some of our more advanced strategies, because do note, these are just some of our more basic ones, pulled from different pieces of the puzzle of our different researches in that intensive realization program, and then comment below, click the link in the bio, do whatever it takes for you to join right now if you feel like this is the next step. If you want the full synergized methodology, then take that next step right now. And with that, I will leave you all to get started and apply this technique today. Make some sticky notes, go out, experience this truth that you can use every experience to manifest. And with that, I will talk to you later. Peace.